late in practice, Princely had an inside move and got in there and held up. Did you talk to him after practice and say?
We did, and I think it was cool for me to talk to the guys. Like, what looked like Princely going for the ball, you got to wait and see the film. We watched the film. He was actually trying to avoid. Bryce didn't have anywhere to go in the pocket. So as he pulls his arm back, he kind of hits him, but you can see Princely running kind of by. Still made a point of it, right? It's still great to teach the guys in those moments, but just another great, teachable moment for the whole groups. Hey, let's not pass judgment on what happened. I saw the play kind of, but I didn't see specifically. We'll be able to rewind it, 10 times and figure out what happened. But had a couple other good rushes today by Princely, so every day shows up and does something good. I'm really encouraged with, the effort, first and foremost, that he's giving and the strain to finish all the way through practice.
We saw JC and T-Mac compete a little bit in 11s. There was the deep ball. What did you see on that play? And then also, how can JC make him a better wide receiver?
Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Position to position. The guys you go against in practice is how we become us. It's how we find our best. When you bring your best, you bring out the best in the guy across from you. And, JC just kind of owning his land, his territory right there in that situation. Cutting off the deep ball is going to teach T-Mac how to get in position, how to, reduce his surface to try to get back on top. Or do I need to stop and pop, against a really big, strong, fast corner, as big and fast as they come. So really brings out the heart of competition.
Austin and Cade,
Yeah.
We've seen them kind of mix up. What's your outlook on the competition as you guys enter and get ready for pads?
Yeah, I think we're just going to let them both kind of play it out and alternate days with who goes with Bryce. That chemistry matters, how the whole group works with communication and all those things. We're looking at all of it, and we're going to evaluate it, and I love competition. I love asking guys to bring their best. They don't have to go above and beyond who they are, but it requires all of you, when you're in a competition, there's good, depth within your position.
Pat Jones was back in coverage, made a play today. What was it about him you saw this offseason that kind of made you target him in free agency?
Effort, strain, first and foremost, we preach rolling off the ball, setting edges in the run game, transitioning to your pass rush, and just being able to play that stout type of defense. And, watching his film from last year, generating, I forget what it was, 8.5 sacks or something like that. But, just the way that he did it with strain, the physical way that he chased the ball on the backside, played stout on the front side is what we're looking for. And so a great addition, a great pro in that room where you got a couple of young guys from the draft in Princely and Nick, to look at DJ Wanham, to look at Pat Jones, DJ Johnson, who's been around the system, to see the type of physicality it requires to play the position.
The additions to the defensive line and the efforts to bolster the run game, when will you get a sense of how much that will change? So when the pads go on, do you have a sense already of how helpful those additions will be?
Well, right now we're practicing without Derek Brown and Bobby Brown, so I think that's going to be another big part of that interior rotation of how we use guys. But Ashawn and Turk, Jaden Crumedy, Shai Tuttle, of course, and then adding Cam Jackson and Jarrett Harrison Hunt. These guys, there's a bunch of really talented athletes in that room with different skill sets. You got your big power guys, you have some twitchier guys like Turk, who can really get off the ball and present some problems that way. So I think it just gives us versatility in what we can do, how we can, play the opponent's run, whatever their system might be, and kind of take our approach from there. For us, again, like a lot of these guys have played a lot of pro ball, so we have a good amount of film on some of the veteran guys that we know we can count on to play tough in the run. But it is really cool to get into pads, for those guys to really show, what they can do. And there's advantages to both sides right now. There's less of a surface for the O-line to grab on at this point, but at the same time, it's also some of those guys like playing lower with their pads. So all those things kind of come to life, in a couple of days.
Jack Henderson's kind of like a unique body type, kind of more Seattle-y than some of the other safeties. What is it about like the length and size that appeals to you as well as his talent?
Yeah, it's cool. If you go back to his college film, he was like a flex wheel linebacker type, which really is a nickel spot. He's got great size. He's slimmed up a little bit from his college playing days, but his size and length, athleticism, and ability to play in space, which you've already seen. He was an edge blitzer. in some of the stuff they did. He's having to carry seams. He's having to do a lot of things we ask our safeties and our nickels to do. So we felt like it was a really cool scheme fit. And, and for him, the key for all the young guys is how can they contribute on special teams, and so that's going to be the challenge is can he learn what we're doing and can he show us that he can make it happen in these preseason games?
How long do you anticipate extending the kicking competition into? And I know, that's every roster spot this time of year is valuable.
I don't know that right now, but I do know we got to give him fair opportunities to kick here, on the skinny uprights and also to get into some games, and see if we can count on them and from what distance, to make that decision. And of course the kickoff comes into play and, who can place it just inside that 20, and let the ball run a little bit to give our coverage unit an advantage. So all those things are going to come into it. We need more opportunities to be able to make that.
Certainly at least through a game or two.
I would hope so, yes.
They've both done well over the last few days, but do you have to kind of reserve judgment when the normal snapper, the normal holder isn't kind of available?
That's definitely a part of it. Getting Sam healthy to get him back out to practice. Andy's doing a great job. Thielen came up to me during practice, said he held in college, and with gloves on. So he was kind of asking the kickers, does it matter if a guy has gloves on? I can do it in a pinch. And their response was, we like guys whose hands aren't beaten up from diving and catching and blocking. So a little more reliable hands as your backup quarterback if it's not the punter.
Jimmy, when was the last time Andy held?
Shoot, I don't know. I'll have to ask him that.
Jimmy, you had a speed coming in, Jimmy Horn. What else are you seeing out of him that makes you feel like you got a chance? Because you got a lot of receivers. It's hard for guys to get a look sometimes.
Yeah, I just love the way that he plays football. It's full speed all the time. Some guys we have to really teach them how to get into a walkthrough mode. He's one of those guys. Everything he does is fast. I think about Devin Tompkins, who I love, who was here last year, and they just bring out the best in everybody because, when they're out there, they're going 100 miles an hour full speed and they're looking to take the top off. So I love that style about Jimmy and what he's shown us, whether it's in drills or in the team periods, he's just all gas.
How do you feel about the possibility of keeping 7 wide receivers?
Yeah, we got to see. Again, those last couple of spots, whether it's in the secondary room or the wide receiver room, really comes down to who we can count on in special teams. We're big believers. That's part of the heart and soul of our philosophy of building this team is good football players. And those guys show up in the kicking game. They can cover and make tackles. They can play gunner. You can put them as returners. You can put them at PP, so it's the versatility of the skill players, tight ends included, who are the guys we can count on special teams. That's really what's going to make the decision because, again, you get one ball, you got about 3 wide receivers, sometimes 4 out there, so you're really playing with about 4 guys, and those 5th or 6th guys sometimes, it's hard to find those guys a role. It's the same thing in the secondary. So when they can play teams, you always got a helmet for them because they're going to help us regardless, on our special teams in those units.
See how on Patrick Jones when he had the pick over the middle. What's that show about his skills?
Yeah, it was just great vision, quarterback intentions. He's in that bonus hook area like he does, and he kind of dropped back, got to his spot, and got vision on the quarterback. That's the veteran play in his game right now that a lot of the other guys are going to be able to see, get to your spot and see where the quarterback's eyes are taking you, and so he did it beautifully. And of course he's 6'5", and I didn't know he could catch like that. So that was an amazing play.
Is Timo a load management situation for his knees, or what is it?
I think just in generally for Timo, I think the guy's been so dependable here. It's great for us to be able to get his work in. He's tireless in individual periods. He's a pro's pro. He does need the live reps, but within reason. And then it just gives Yash an opportunity to work on his craft, and some of the other tackles that we have to get out there and show us what they can do as well.
Time to see Rico up close on the field. What kind of stands out and pops off about him?
I think for Rico, it's the consistency, and I think just being a well-rounded running back, he can do it all. He catches well in the backfield. He's got patience and vision. He can run with power. He's got really good speed. And then I think the cherry on top is he's an amazing pass protector, just IDing things and the way he shows up really firm on linebackers when they're blitzing. This is something that I've seen from him from a couple of years now. But I think just the well-rounded player that he is. And again, he doesn't say much. He just works hard. He's looking to run with violence, and that's the kind of style of guy that we like here.
Do a couple more.
Coach, how important is having a veteran quarterback like Andy running with the second team and the third team just to give these guys a quality reps and develop the rest of the unit, the running backs, the wide receivers, the young tight ends that you want to develop.
It's amazing, and I'm glad you brought that up because it allows us to evaluate all the other skill players as you see the ball get distributed where it's supposed to go. And I got to say, for Jack Plummer, he does the same thing for us, and Jack's one of the more conscientious rookies that we had last year, and the way that he was able to learn our system, be a part of the game plan dialogues and offer all of that. Those guys bring a lot of value to the quarterback room in general, but then to your point, also to the team, not just for the offensive guys. We need to see the secondary players make plays down the field, so when Andy can push the ball up the field or Jack can push the ball up the field, we get to evaluate our young safeties and our young corners as well, so it's very important.
Tommy was doing some catching for Bryce and just some rehab on the side, and it looked like he was pretty fluid in his routes. Is it just about being able to handle the physicality with his rehab?
Yeah, I think so. I think a big part of it is the initial evaluation of, of what this type of surgery requires to get you fully strong, to get the explosive movements and change of direction that you need. He's working in that progression, but I wouldn't say he's been cut loose for all the change of direction. He's doing a lot of inline stuff with a little bit of routes right now, but then we're going to have to get him in some short space stuff, have him pushing a sled and doing all those things, which can obviously requires more of your body. So I think it's just a natural progression, but he is on track and he's doing a great job. Yep. Thank you.
How you doing?
Doing great. Beautiful day out.
What happened with I know your brother was here in the spring. Did he get in anybody's camp? Or?
No, not right now. My brother actually got a job working with Wells Fargo, so he's gonna be out here in Charlotte. So that's definitely a blessing, keeping him in house, and he'll definitely be at as many games this year as he can. So excited for him.
Working out, or is he kind of now getting?
He's a gym rat, no matter what. I'm sure if opportunity came knocking, he'll definitely give it an opportunity. But yeah, so we'll see.
We saw yesterday Princely kind of had to be reminded about quarterback, but Dave said on film review he sort of was trying to avoid Rice. What did you have any kind of follow up with him about that play?
Yeah, it was a good play. Actually, right after the play happened, I told Coach E kind of got on him a little bit, so I had to set the record straight. Like, nah, that was a good play. He tried to run past the quarterback. So yeah, it was a good play. I don't think he was tempo violent or doing nothing like that. It was just a good, solid play on Princely's part.
Nicky, what are you seeing for these young pass rushers this year? The team maybe lacked last year.
These young guys definitely got some juice. To them. I really feel like the defense as a whole has just been revitalized in a way. Those guys have been day in and day out. They've been trying to set the tone every day, and offense we're trying to set it too, and it's led to some great matchups here during camp. It's going to lead to some great matches moving forward. So, yeah, defense have been balling. I'll give them some credit.
Studied them much on film to know what they can do, or is this that part of the learning process? Right?
Of course, but also we had the whole spring as well, so I got to go out here and work with them live. So that was definitely a plus, getting some of that film out there. But no, those guys definitely got some juice to them.
When you get to see Rico up close, like when he's running between y'all, what kind of pops off about him?
The speed, obviously, but I just feel like Rico just an all-around solid, all-purpose back. I don't know, y'all are better at labels than I am, but I feel like that's definitely a label I describe him as. He can really do it all. He can run out the backfield, he can catch out the backfield, so definitely very well-rounded.
You guys coming to this year on the offensive line with Damon back next to you. Of course, Caden also trying to figure out what's going to happen there, but how important is it for your unit overall to have that continuity, or any kind of goals you guys have set, take a step forward again this upcoming season?
I mean, first and foremost, it's definitely rare, retaining as many guys as we did. So it's definitely a blessing in that aspect. But I feel like it's definitely a good opportunity for us to grow more and more, and, getting more and more connected. And I feel like the more time we spend together, just, we're going to play that much better. And I'm definitely excited to have all those guys back.
Rob said y'all hang out, but to a point. I think someone said, did y'all hang out this summer? He's like, no, not during the summer. Is that pretty accurate? And is there a saturation point where you're like, okay, I need a break from these guys?
I don't know about saturation point, but everybody kind of has their own summer plans. Obviously, Rob had some big plans this summer that, was very personal with him and his family. So congrats to Rob and Jules and everybody. But, obviously we're back now. We're going to be spending 6 months together, whether we like it or not. But, good thing we love it. So it's definitely fun being around those guys and fellowshipping.
Who do you think is the best post-up player in the offensive line room?
Is that what y'all asked Rob yesterday when he came and started doing all that? Best post-up? I'm going to give credit to Yash. Yash is pretty stout. I think he has a little bit of a basketball background, but he reminds me a lot of Tim Duncan in demeanor. So I'm assuming that translates a little bit to the basketball court as well.
What's your game based on?
I think I'm a little bit of a slasher, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm heavier than the average forward, but I still put myself at that three. I can do it all. I can shoot, I can drive, so I'm gonna be that three.
In the comp, or who's the comp?
No, Halliburton's a PG, but nah. I'm not gonna say that, but I'll say maybe like there's this one cat, young guy. I think his name's like Clifton Jr. or something like that. He had a 2-way contract for a while, but everybody kind of counted him out because he's like a statter guy. People didn't think he could move as well as he does, but he's a baller now. I think it was Clifton or Clayton Jr. Y'all can fact check me on that, but I'm gonna say that's my comp.
Elaborate a little bit on that Tim Duncan comparison, because Tim's like a Hall of Fame type player.
Tim Duncan. So obviously Tim Duncan's maybe a little bit more reserved, a little bit more quiet, maybe a little bit stoic, but I feel like people that really get to know Tim Duncan based on interviews that say he's a funny guy, lively. So I feel like that's kind of the same way with Yash. Yash might present like he's stoic and like he's like. I also like to say Groot. I don't know if y'all seen those movies, but I say he's like a little bit like Groot. Yeah, from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's kind of like his demeanor. But like when you really get to talk to him and get to be around Yash, definitely a lively guy, fun guy to be around. And that's why I said Tim Duncan.
You ever play against Grant Williams? You ever play against Grant Williams?
Yeah, I did. So I did basketball team camp. I didn't play basketball at PD. I wrestled, but I did basketball team camp my freshman year, and he was over there. He could have dunked on me one time. He let up on me, though. I'll never forget that. He definitely saved me there a little bit. But, yeah, I got a little bit of work for us, Grant, a little bit. I was with JV, though, so.
You've talked to us before about you wanting to be here, and I know you guys had some talks in the spring. How confident are you? You think something could potentially get done before the season, or what do you think timeline-wise?
Well, I'm not going to talk timeline, obviously. You know what I was going to say. I'm going to let my agent handle that one and everything like that. But I've always said I want to be here. This is, people always say this is home for me, but this is literally my home. Like, born and raised here, grew up a Panther fan, so I definitely want to wear that processed blue as long as I can. So hopefully we can definitely get something done.
Yeah, I don't want to force you to have a Marvel comparison to all your teammates, but what you've played next to Damian Lewis, like last year he had a really good year. What have you learned from him now that you have a full calendar year of knowing him?
So I'm not gonna lie. While you was talking, I was thinking of a Marvel comparison.
No way.
So can you please redo the question? My fault. I'm so sorry.
Just generally, what have you learned about Damian?
Yeah, I mean, Damian is obviously a great guy, family man, keeps God first in his life. So personality-wise, off the field life, definitely a guy that I want to stay closer to. But also on the field, you see he's a dog. He likes to move guys around. He likes to bully guys on the field. And that's definitely a mindset I buy into. So definitely excited to have Damian here next to me this year.
Comparison, man.
I don't know why I forgot all their names because I haven't seen the Guardian Galaxy movie in a while. But the alien guy, he's played by the wrestler. You know what I'm talking about?
Drax. Yeah.
Yes, Drax the Destroyer. There you go. That's D-Lou right there. He Drax the Destroyer for sure. I can tell by lack of reaction, y'all ain't seen the movie, so y'all can look it up. You're gonna be like, yeah, that's right.
Yesterday, Dave was in here and he said the Panthers are going to be a team that other people don't want to play this year. When you hear your coach say that to set the tone for training camp, as an offensive line, how do you guys take that and use that?
We buy into it. That's obviously, the the trenches is where the battle starts. So the trenches is where, in my opinion, it really dictates the game, the O-line, D-line. So as long as the O-line, D-line is dominant, I feel like that's going to be true. Teams are going to want to play us as long as we go out there and we show each and every play that we want to put you in the dirt. So that's definitely a mindset that we're going to adopt.
Thank you.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, man.
Y'all are gonna get a Guardians of the Galaxy. Who's next then? No, I get that.
Sir, how you doing?
Hey, sir. So, 2 days into training camp, what's the vibe out there like?
I think everybody's getting after it. We competing a lot. Both sides of the ball. Showing that we want to show who we are this year, and just kind of building the culture so far.
Turk, this is the first time in your life you haven't been playing football in the Midwest, or in Missouri specifically, right?
Yes.
You kind of learned more about yourself off the field, on the field, just being away from everything?
Well, I'd say I like the weather out here. It's hot, and knowing that it's not going to get cold as where I was just at is a good thing to me.
You're willing to trade the humidity for the lack of a harsh winter?
we going to change that around here.
Turk, how much of run defense is scheme and how much is just effort and sort of want to and guys just battle?
I think a lot of things in football are scheme. That's both sides of the ball. But you got to kind of just want to be a dog when you playing run defense, and we got a lot of guys that's willing to do that.
Turk obviously came from a great culture and mentality and franchise. What have you noticed about the mentality and culture here as a guy?
Oh, yeah. I'd say that I think every team around the league wants to win, So the culture that Coach Reed built over there is something that, he's known for, not just with them but the Eagles. And, Coach Canales come from cultures of winning as well. So I think we starting to build in the right direction, and all the guys are buying into what the coaches want. So the culture here is definitely going to change.
What was your perspective on Pat's interception today?
I think he was a little surprised when he caught it, how he started running with the ball. But, it's good to see guys like Pat make plays. He knew here as well. So it was just good to see him get it. And, we got to tell him to tuck the ball away.
Was he a little loose with it?
Yeah, a little loose with the ball. I think it surprised him. I think he wanted to go down. I don't know if he was ready for it or not.
They knocked it out right.
Right at the end.
Interception before?
I did have an interception. I think my interception came against the Commanders. I pinned it to somebody's head. I think my interception kind of looked cooler.
What year?
That was my second year, so 2021.
So what, Jaden?
It was Heineke.
You scored a touchdown before, right? In
college. I got two of them in college. One for 81 yards and then the other one for 64. So I could run a little bit.
Were they fumble recovery?
One fumble recovery, one forced the fumble, picked it up, and went. So a little trifecta right there.
You sound like you remember every detail about those.
Yeah, we always big on details.
81 yards and 64.
64, you're going to get some rushing yards in there.
Your story is one of the better underdog stories in the NFL right now. Have you talked to the undrafted free agent guys that have come out here? What have you said?
Oh, yeah, I think every year that I've been in the league, I always talk to the undrafted guys just because it's more undrafted guys than drafted guys in the league, of course. And just telling them to stay humble and hungry. It's kind of a day-to-day thing that, you could get in your head about where you standing at. You know, you have a bad practice, you probably put your head down, but just knowing that everybody here to compete, and we all getting judged the same, you know. So just telling them to stay true to who they are. You know, we all got here for a reason, and just going out there and give your best effort every day.
You had somebody in Kansas City when you first got there who gave you kind of a similar message?
I think I just kind of went in myself knowing, you know, they was coming off of a huge victory when I got there, and then we came in COVID, so it was kind of different. But guys like Tyron and Frank Clark, Chris Jones, they kind of just always talked to me based off what I was doing on the field. You know, they was impressed by everything. So those type of guys just always stood next to me.
Turk, as somebody who has to go against Rico, what kind of stands out about his game now that you've seen it for a few days here?
Oh, Rico? 5. Okay, Rico, yeah. I think, so crazy thing about Rico is we was at the Shrine game with each other when we came out of college. But Rico is one of those guys that he got everything to him. You know, he could catch out the backfield. And, you know, coming off the ball, when he got it in his hand, he's dangerous. But, you know, as of right now, we competing. So I got to make sure I stop him. But like I said, he brings everything to a team that's needed as a running back that could do all. And I've even seen him return punts before in his career. So he's just a good guy.
Anybody kind of stood out to you on that defensive front in light of the fact that you don't have Bobby or Derek right now?
I think Ashawn, you know, the young guys are always ready. I think we all merging together right now. You know, every day that we're in meetings, everybody answering questions. You know, nobody's lagging behind when coach asks the questions. Everybody knowing what they supposed to be doing and knowing their responsibilities and their assignments. So I say the whole group is standing out to me.
In the same vein, with Josie Jewell's departure earlier this week, how have Christian Roseman and Trevin Wallace been doing it, not just as performance, but also as communicators and leaders and stuff?
I mean, yeah, I think Roseboom, he just got here. So he's out there communicating with us. You know, he's giving us the calls. And, you know, just doing our job, we should know a few things that should help him. You know, being in defense, we need to know what we're supposed to do so we can help him out by knowing what we're supposed to do and being able to align ourselves. But he's doing a great job.
Good stories from your, first 6 months in Charlotte?
First 6 months? Right now, I just been locked in, man. You know, it's all about going to get a win, so that's what I got going right now. Thank you all.